Hello and welcome back to Talking Teens Official. I'm Narelle and thank you for joining me and for your listening ears. Before we begin today, a quick note, this episode addresses child safety and the realities of grooming. It is a critical life-saving conversation for every parent. But if you have young ears in the room or in the car with you right now, you may want to plug in your headphones for this one. I'd also want to invite you to join my Parenting Teens School community. I've pinned the link in the description and in the comments for you to jump straight in. In there, we have parents of teenagers just like yourself, all talking together and all getting help. A few days ago, news broke in my local community that the CEO of a local sporting club was convicted of grooming. He targeted what he thought was a 14-year-old girl. When a crisis like this hits close to home, it's a massive wake-up call. And as a high school teacher for over 20 years, I need to say something that might be uncomfortable for parents to hear. I don't care how grown up your teenager looks. I don't care if they are taller than you, bigger than you, or handling responsibilities that make them seem independent. If they are under 18, they are still a child and they are still vulnerable, and you need to protect them and you need to keep an eye out. But to protect them, we have to pull back the curtain on the architecture of abuse. What actually is grooming? I'm not talking about taking your kid to a hairdresser to get their hair cut. Put simply, grooming is a calculated, manipulative process where an abuser builds an intense emotional connection and trust with a child or a vulnerable person for the express purpose of lowering their inhibitions to exploit them. It is rarely a sudden event. It is a gradual, tactical campaign that turns a child's natural need for validation against them. And understanding this dynamic is critical because it means the predator isn't just focusing on your child. They are actually working on your entire household at the exact same time. Before we look at the playbook, we need to smash a dangerous myth. I see parents fall into the "not my child" trap all the time. They think, my kid is a straight A student, they're smart, they're savvy, they know better. But here's what 20 years in the classroom has taught me. Predators don't target stupidity. They target vulnerability. A child who is lonely, dealing with school anxiety, or just having a rough week with their friends or with you at home is a target, no matter how smart they are. We have to drop the assumption that our kids are immune. Groomers don't operate in a vacuum. Their tactics are highly strategic and they target two groups simultaneously: the child and you, the parent. They don't sneak around the back door. They walk right through the front door by presenting themselves as incredibly trustworthy, helpful, or loving figures to the adults, which is you. They will overstep normal social boundaries under the guise of generosity, like buying unexpected gifts for your family, constantly complimenting your parenting or your household or your efforts, or volunteering to do free repairs like gardening or babysitting or painting your house, for example, just to embed themselves in your everyday life so it seems normal. Once they have successfully lowered your guard and won the family's trust, they shift their focus to isolating the child right under your nose. They do this by using a very specific set of behaviours. And these can look like excessive admiration or favours. They can begin showering your child or your teen with special attention, gifts, or privileges without your direct knowledge or even your consent. They can test boundaries. They can introduce seemingly innocent actions like lingering hugs, playful tickle, or accidental boundary crossing just to see how the child reacts and to see what they can get away with. This one is a critical one, and it is desensitization. Over time, they can gradually introduce sexualized language, adult jokes, or inappropriate content to desensitize the child and slowly normalize a behavior that should never be normalized. What makes this so incredibly difficult to detect is that these tactics change shape depending on where the abuser is interacting with your child or your teenager, whether they are sitting next to them in real life or hiding behind a screen. There are two battlegrounds for grooming. It is online and it is offline. And I want to talk about these signs. Because of this, we have to keep our eyes open across two completely different environments. And this is the new online threats that is happening to our kids because we are all so connected now. In the offline space, the manipulation is heavily built around inherent trust. We're talking about environments like sports clubs, extracurricular activities, or youth groups. The warning signs here look like an adult's consistently seeking unsupervised, one-on-one time with your child. It's the coach who constantly offers to drive your child home alone or creates reasons to be in an isolated spaces with them after hours or insists on individualized mentoring away from their peers. But if we flip that over to the online spaces, the battleground becomes much more covert. Online grooming moves fast through gaming lobbies, Discord servers, DMs, or even social media. The signs here are digital. They are late night messaging, intense phone secrecy, and the abuser actively forcing the teen to hop from public platforms to a private encrypted apps to invade your detections. You need to be highly alert if your teen suddenly starts receiving digital gift cards, online gaming credits, or packages from an online friend you've never heard of or even met in real life. Now, I know exactly what's probably going through your head as a parent when you might hear this. You start worrying about every adult in your child's life. So to keep our perspective grounded, let's look at two real-world scenarios to clearly differentiate healthy mentorship from actual manipulation. Let's look at how the exact same setup can play out in two completely different ways. The extra coaching. Healthy mentorship looks like this. The sports coach pulls your kid aside and says, hey, you've got great potential, but your defensive footwork or your defense needs work. I'm running a group clinic this Saturday morning with 3 other players. I'd love for you to come. The communication is transparent, it involves peers, and it occurs in a public, scheduled framework. Nothing there is raising any flags, so much in my head, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to go there. Potential grooming might look like this. The coach might start texting your teen directly on their personal phone late at night about non-sports topics. They say, you're the most talented kid on the team, but the others are jealous of you. Let's do a private session at my house this Sunday so we can work on it without the others knowing. Let's just keep this as our little secret. This is a deliberate campaign of isolation and secrecy. That would be raising red flags in my head. The other scenario I want to talk about is the online gaming buddy. Healthy interaction looks like this. Your kid can be playing a multiplayer game, laughing and strategizing with teammates over the headset, and you can hear them. And when the console turns off or the computer turns off, the interaction completely stops. There's nothing else that's really going on between them. Potential grooming, however, can look like this. An older player moves your child or the teen to a private DM. They immediately start driving a wedge between you and your child by saying, do your parents really get you? They sound way too strict. Why don't they let you play more often? You can tell me anything. Hey, let me send you $50 worth of in-game currency so you can buy the new skins. Don't tell your mum. When a teenager gets caught up in a manipulative web like the second scenario, they can't carry the burden by themselves for long. Eventually, the psychological pressure starts leaking out into their everyday behaviour at home. So, as the pressure builds, you need to be looking out for these behavioural red flags in your team. Their nervous system will begin to buckle under the weight of the secret. And if your teen or your child is being targeted, you will likely notice distinct behavioural shifts. So keep an eye out for these ones. Emotional and social isolation. They may become intensely withdrawn, spend hours locked in their room, and abruptly drop long-term friends or distance themselves from family altogether. Then there's defensive secrecy. They display extreme anxiety, panic, or flash rage, if you like, if you ask a simple casual question about their phone or who they're talking to. They can have a trauma response. You might notice sudden mental health issues like increased anxiety flares, deep depression, severe sleep disturbances, nightmares, or sudden school refusal. There's something going on in their head there. Inappropriate knowledge. They can start using sexual language, jokes, or discussing adult topics that are completely beyond their developmental level. The guarded allegiance. And finally, watch closely if they fiercely defend or excuse an adult's inappropriate behaviour. This is a massive indicator that their loyalty and trust have been successfully weaponized against them. Catching these signs early is absolutely critical to protecting your teen's or your child's emotional and physical well-being. But how we respond in that exact moment changes everything. If you've been listening to me for a little while now, you'll know that I'm pretty big on connection over correction. And if you're listening to this right now and your stomach is dropping because you recognize some of these signs, just take a deep breath. Do not beat yourself up or drown in guilt. These tactics are meticulously engineered by a master manipulator to deceive intelligent, loving adults such as yourself. You are awake to it now, and that is exactly what matters. When your gut tells you something is wrong, you cannot step in as the police officer, coming in hot with interrogations, screaming, demanding compliance. It will only backfire. A terrified teen and a terrified child will instantly retreat further into secrecy and protect themselves, or the manipulator, out of fear of getting into trouble. Instead, you have to lead as the captain with a clear, calm, protective strategy. You need to enforce transparent environments, establish clear safety boundaries, keep devices out of bedrooms and in shared family spaces overnight, and stay actively aware of the platforms your child is using. As cyber safety expert Susan McLean always says, tech simply does not belong in the bedroom. Educate on physiological warning signs. Teach your kids to trust their own bodies. Tell them, if an adult ever makes you feel uncomfortable, or if your heart starts racing, your palms start sweating, or you get a weird feeling in your guts, that is your body telling you a boundary has been crossed. You can tell me anything and you will never be in trouble. Build the safe harbour. Reassure your teen constantly that your relationship is a place of safety, not punishment. Let them know if someone online or offline ever asks you to keep a secret from me or makes you feel trapped, hand that burden to me and we'll look at the problem together. We'll fight it together. You will never be in trouble for telling me something like that. Abuse thrives entirely on isolation and silence. By staying awake, staying engaged, and refusing to let friction drive a wedge between you and your teen, you take all the power away from the predator. If you found this strategy breakdown essential, please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss our episodes moving forward. Don't let fear or mismatched styles turn your home into a battleground. If you are navigating a high friction relationship right now and need a structured plan to rebuild that unshakable trust so that your teen will come to you when things go wrong, I want to invite you to take the next step for your family. Click the link in the description below to join my school community, Parenting Teens. There you can connect with like-minded parents, have direct access to me, and even book a one-on-one strategy clarity call with me so we can map out a unified approach. Let's protect them together. And remember that focus, connection over correction. I'll see you in the next episode.